The Witch Tape. A Scary Short Story. Written by Stories from the Attic. Narrated by Robin McConnell. Like most bad ideas, the whole thing had actually started as a joke. A flippant remark that should really have been swatted away like a persistent fly, or left to dissolve into memory like an indistinct blur of the day's other conversations. It should have been, but it wasn't. Instead, the joke became an idea that grew into a suggestion, and before I knew it, was gathering mass like a snowball rolling downhill, picking up both speed and size the further it was pushed. Within minutes, the joke had grown and mutated into a full-blown plan of action, for which arrangements were already being made. Once the ball gets rolling like that, it's always hard to stop. Bad ideas have a momentum of their own. Moorfield was a quiet town, filled, unfortunately, with not-so-quiet people. The primary forms of entertainment in this tiny rural backwater being either to gossip about other people's intrigues and indiscretions, or actively participate in them yourself for the future discussion of others. As a trio, Adrian, Dion, and I had long ago decided to opt out of both. The day of the joke, we had been walking, as we often did, in the hills that surrounded the town, beers clinking in our rucksacks alongside a hastily thrown-together meal that mainly consisted of bread and crisps. We began the walk with the usual shared sense of having made some kind of escape from town, and the intention of gaining most of our daily calories in liquid form. We made these rambles away from the stultifying boredom of the small town centre and the judgmental glances of the curtain-twitching locals almost every week, and even when the weather was bitingly cold. On those occasions we would bundle up, find some patch of open moorland to build a fire, set up camp, and merrily drink the cold away, preferring our beer jackets and actual frost to the frosty reception our daytime drinking would have received in town. As usual, we had spent most of the day in the hills overlooking the town, and as adolescent boys tend to do, had exchanged humorously barbed reports of what each of us had done to the other's mother, whilst feeling the warm glow and mildly effervescent fizz of the alcohol beginning to work its magic. Later we began, as we always did, to head down toward the woods that fringed the town, just as the sun was setting. Our wilderness drinking sojourns were primarily a daytime activity, acting as they did as the precursory warm-up to an evening in one of the 2 pubs in town we would actually get into without being asked for proof of age. On a normal day, we tended to be back before sundown, changing into more suitable pub attire at Adrian's by the time it went dark. We did sometimes stay out, camping in the summer in Dion's brother's battered tent, but never, under any circumstances, did we camp in or near the woods. For, though we never discussed it, somehow we all knew instinctively never to be around there at night. Until I made the joke, and that instinct was suppressed and overridden by an immature desire to not appear chicken in front of your friends. In fact, it was at the edge of the woods that I first made the joke that I would come to regret, and where I first saw the filmy brown tangles of unfuried tape hanging in knots from the trees. Looking back now, I remember there being tons of the stuff, marking the entrance to the woods like curtains or bleak decorations for some forgotten pagan festival. But, in reality, that first time, I think there was very little, perhaps only a few strands, hung across the path like a barrier, blocking with the flimsiest of barricades the path into the woods that I, more even than the other 2, hated with a passion. I had always hated them. I hated the fact that my route home from the train involved walking through them, down the narrow dirt path, always, it seemed, at dusk. I hated the way that in the cloistered huddle of the streets the fading light would play tricks on the eyes and show, just at the edge of vision, the tiniest flickers of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?